What's going on today, guys? Massive Head here, and welcome back to another episode of WNN. Today we'll be talking about the music production news. Got a lot of stories here for you today. Some news regarding Moog. We got some news regarding AIRBIT, Elon Musk wielding a gun. In our first story, we'll be talking about Moog. Side note, did you guys know it's pronounced Mock? That's the proper way to pronounce it. In the words of Ben Jordan,
yeah, I'm not gonna say that.
You may remember a few months back, I talked about how Moog was sold to In Music, the same company that owns Akai, Newmark, Denon, and more. In this video, I warned how there was a high probability that In Music was going to ruin this company. About 3 months later now, it has been reported that In Music has fired/laid off most of the workers. There is no official statement from either company yet, but workers have come out speaking about it. According to some ex-employees, many of the Moog employees were fired in Asheville. Adam Strange, a former instructor at Moog, says Moog just fired most everybody. It was a good run, game over. I also predicted some of their products, if not all of them, will eventually just be made overseas. Jenny Farrell here says, Moog about to change forever, a sad day for their team and all of us. I walked down to the Moog factory today to talk to them about selling to In Music, and most of their team was in the parking lot upset. They had just been laid off, a surprise to everyone today, but they did know something was coming. The Asheville location will remain open for now, only making a limited number of higher end products, but the majority will be made overseas and of lower quality. That is what they think is happening anyway. Very sad day for that crew. Until now, all Moog was handmade in Asheville and of the highest quality. They laid off about 30 people total. There have been further reactions from the Asheville Reddit group. My husband has worked at Moog for 9+ years, was laid off this morning along with many more. All but 2 lines were canned. Just this past Wednesday, they called a meeting in which they led employees to believe that their jobs would be safe until summer. In Music does it again, guys. Damn you, In Music! They did it to Akai, now they're doing it to Moog.
So anyway, Jack, you're a bastard.
In our next story, Elon Musk allegedly showed up at the studio where Grimes was recording her dialogue for Cyberpunk 2077 with a gun, a 200-year-old gun. Well, that's a sentence I never thought I'd say. This story comes from the biography of Elon Musk. Grimes apparently voices Lizzie Wizzy in Cyberpunk 2077. One thing I find really funny about this is I don't know why you'd get Grimes to voice a character in a video game. That seems really expensive for no reason. You might as well just go down the street and get anybody to record it. While wielding the gun, which wasn't a musket by the way, he demanded an appearance in the game and they actually gave it to him. Ironically though, is that ironically? They gave him the voice of an NPC that you murder in the bathroom. So I guess that's fitting. Quick advertisement here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not. If I get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I have to shave my eyebrows off. If you want to see that, subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. Here is a haunting example of what that may look like. If you're looking for something for live looping, sampling, and more, CANTOR is a free music playground app that looks like it could be interesting for live performances. The UI looks somewhat horrendous in my opinion, but I feel like these sort of apps are always pretty complex looking. It is a Mac exclusive at the moment. There's a Windows version in development. There are built-in synths, and it has VST AU plugin support. It also offers 32 effects, and because all sync and quantization options are defined as fractions, you could easily generate polyrhythms. It's free. It has been reported that Apple Music has seen a 1,000% surge in monthly spatial audio listeners. So they went from 10 listeners to about 100, right? They have not actually revealed the numbers for this, so it makes me think that might actually be the case. I like how some of these I'm just like getting off like a quick joke on it. Like I don't really In the wake of BeatStars shooting themselves in the head, metaphorically, AIRBIT decided to make some changes that look pretty good. They dropped the commissions from their marketplace sales. Wow. They've enhanced their free plans. Ooh. They also integrated BandLab. Their marketplace fees were originally up to 40%, but they have lowered it to 0%. And they've almost definitely done this to on BeatStars, which I am here for. I've been using AIRBIT for a while on and off now. The only real reservation about using AIRBIT to sell beats is it's not as popular as BeatStars is, at least with the marketplace. And I really think it's just because BeatStars is more well known. For those of you that don't know, AIRBIT used to be called My Flash Store a few years back, so you may have heard of My Flash Store before. And they absolutely did this to felt BeatStars because on top of that, they have also expanded their payment options, the thing that BeatStars stopped supporting. You can also easily register from BandLab onto AIRBIT now. As you may know, Ableton Note is an iOS app from Ableton that you can make music on. You can now connect any USB MIDI class compliant device to Ableton Note. They've added new sounds. You can now copy paste reverse samples. You can now import samples directly into the Note browser, and you can now convert videos into sound. They've added several other features as well too. Normally Ableton Note is $5.99 and this is a free update. I suggest checking it out if you're on iOS. Android users are down bad right now. We don't get this or the new Pro Tools thing. I don't really care about the new Pro Tools thing. We'll talk about that momentarily. Now, actually. Momentarily is now. In our next story, Pro Tools has made a few changes. One of them is they brought back perpetual licenses, and they also released an app and update that includes a sketch sort of tool, sort of like Ableton. It's a non-linear workflow clip-based window that is in Pro Tools 2023.9. It is also available as an iPad app. So they've basically made Ableton for old people. They say it's a free release, but you essentially have to have a perpetual license or subscription in order to use it. So it's not technically free. One thing I found really weird about this is that they codenamed it Sophie after a dead hyperpop artist when she had no affiliation to this project. Apparently they do this with all of their projects, something I did not know. I'm guessing in their minds they think of it as paying homage or something. I feel like it's already weird to do this, but it's 10 times weirder to tell people on your website that you named it after them. And I definitely see some potential irony in this because I'm sure if somebody else codenamed their project after Pro Tools or DigiDesign or Avid, they would probably send you a cease and desist. There's also an interesting dichotomy between them citing Sophie as an inspiration for this and stating it's due to her unusual production methods, but then you look at the app and it's just a knockoff of Ableton. Yeah, really unusual shit there. Yeah, they finally figured out what was wrong with Pro Tools. I'm almost positive this won't have the effect they think it has. It's definitely a great example of too little too late. If they did this 10 years ago, it probably would have been seen a lot more innovative. Speaking of Pro Tools, you can now get perpetual licenses from them once again, but you may have to look pretty hard on their website to find it. I'm guessing those subscription numbers weren't doing too well. Now, if only we could get Adobe to do the same thing. I don't think that's going to happen though. The reason why Pro Tools can't go completely subscription based and have it succeed is they have way too much legitimate competition. The difference between this and Adobe is that Adobe doesn't have great alternatives. Have you ever tried to use GIMP instead of Photoshop? It makes sense why it's named GIMP. They should rename it to Nub or Limp or Chode. Codename Chode. I'm not saying some parts of Adobe aren't replaceable though. Premiere is definitely replaceable by Resolve, etc. Pro Tools on the other hand has quite a few products that are not only a replacement but are also even considered better by some people. Essentially it only shows it on one small section of their website. If you actually go to buy now, then they try to get you to use the subscriptions. You could buy the perpetual before from a third party because they still had licenses. Okay guys, that's it for this episode of WNN. If you enjoyed it, let me know. If you press the like button on this video, I'm going to show up to your studio with a 200-year-old gun and demand you feature me on whatever you are working on. If you made it to the end of the video, comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, consider checking out the last episode of WNN. I'll link it at the end here. If you want to support the channel, consider joining my Patreon or becoming a channel member. You get perks. I'll see you guys next time.